Hello, Namaskar viewers. I am Sanjeev Pandya welcoming you to this week's edition of the Business Talk with Ajay Kumar of SAI CPA Services. SAI CPA Services is a full-fledged accounting firm located in the state of New Jersey, a couple of locations in New Jersey, but they can help you out no matter where you are in the states, in the United States of America or even in India with the Indian taxpayer matters also that SAI CPA Services can help you out. Besides tax paying, any other services such as payroll services, bookkeeping services, and small business related services such as virtual CEO, which is one of the most popular services that SAI CPA Services offers right now. And they have their on-hand trained CPAs to help you and guide you in the right direction. They're only one phone call away for you, 908-380-6876. That's a 908-380-6876, or visit their website, saicpaservices.com. With that note, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ajay Kumar. Sir, good to have you.
Thank you, Sanjeevji, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Sure, SAI CPA Services, everyone's talking about it, not only for their tax reasons, as I told you, but anything starting from small business and what kind of entity that they need to set up, and even for a personal tax returns. And the most important thing is IRS tax audit. God forbid, if you're into it, then SAI CPA Services can guide you. All right, so now here we are with the CPA and MBA, Mr. Ajay Kumar. We talk about businesses in this. It's a business talk in this series, and come January we'll have a tax talk right here on ITV Go. Let's begin with the business. What's in the business, stock market?
Absolutely, Sanjeevji. So in this episode we bring you the news, what's happening in the market and how does it impact you and your small business. So typically we start with the stock market for Sanjeevji.
Yes.
The stock market have been radical. It's been fluctuating. So if you see Tuesday, Wednesday, it was going down by 300 points, and then suddenly on Thursday it suddenly came back slightly. So it's not there yet. The stock market is radical right now, as we advised in our last episode. This is the time when you want to save the money, keep the money in a fixed deposit, in a certificate of deposit. There the interest rates are very high because the federal government has increased the rate. So even CD, FD's rates are extremely high. This is not the time to be going in the market. If you are in the market, stay there. So right now is the time when you don't do anything with the stock market. Don't invest more money into it. Don't sell what you have in there. Don't take any shortcuts in this time right now. Right now you want to be investing money into the CD, FD, fixed deposits, so you can have the safer horizon. Stock market is acting radical, but other than the stock market, Sanjeevji, right now Bitcoin is really, really low.
Bitcoin is, well, I'm not surprised about Bitcoin because they had predicted that Bitcoin will definitely see a downfall. Listen, people started to lose faith in a Bitcoin,
especially in the difficult market.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitcoin is a luxury item in my opinion.
Bitcoin, and after FTX, Bitcoin,
exactly.
That story is real, taking turns after turns after turns.
Bitcoin is
Sam Bankman, who's out on a parole, and he's still contacting his ex-employees and everybody.
Absolutely. So Bitcoin right now is at 28,506, lowest in the last 2 months. But that's not interesting. The interesting part is this the lowest amount or not? Is it still going to go further down? So stay tuned. Don't rush into investing your money. Save in a safe box.
Just to recap what AJ just said about stock market and Bitcoin, don't look at it, don't think about it, and keep the 401k statements away from you. No need to bother. Just enjoy summer days and then the coming fall days. Anyway,
absolutely.
Let's
don't
move
panic.
on. What's going on with Disney? And there's one of Disney's, how do I say this, Hall of Fame, the super successful movies, Avatar.
Well, the new Avatar movie, The Way of Water, did not do as well as a lot of people expected. A lot of investors were expecting higher returns, and Disney is playing games. The story is the investors get money based on the revenue collected on the box office. But Disney has their own portal, Disney Live, own streaming service like Netflix, like Amazon Prime. So what Disney did, they pushed this movie too soon on their own streaming service, and they were selling it for $20, $24 over there. So people were not watching the movie on the theater. So the investors who were supposed to get a cut from this box office, they did not get their cut. So the whole lawsuit is about investors not getting the money that they were expecting to get.
And this company, TS Entertainment or something,
that's right.
They've been Disney movies financier for so many years.
And they had great hopes.
Yeah.
Avatar is a big franchise.
I'm telling you,
And
yes.
it did not, I mean, it did very well, comparatively speaking, but it did not do as well as they were expecting.
And we're talking about $100 million in this lawsuit.
Yes, it's a lot of money.
All right, it is a lot of money. And talk about a lot of money. I tell you, nowadays, dinner talk or after dinner talk among friends and families, you get on the phone and you say, hi, hello, and how are you, whatnot. One thing is lately in the conversation, which is mostly in the top of the conversation, is that everything is so expensive. The gas is expensive, the grocery is expensive, this expensive, that expensive. And it is true.
Yep.
Because no matter what you look at it, it's really expensive. Even going out for a meal and going to a restaurant and getting gas, I mean, you feel the heat. I don't need to tell you that. And why is it so, and what exactly is happening? AJ will lead that story.
You are 100% right, Sanjeevji. So you look at it from the consumer perspective. Consumers are feeling the pressure. But we, as an accountant, see a lot of small businesses. We see a lot of restaurants are losing money because the cost of goods sold, the food, the supply is so expensive, the labor is so expensive. Even after increasing the price, they're not able to meet the ends. So everything is expensive. Right now, the estimate is everybody is paying more than $709 per month, comparatively speaking. Month over month average is $709.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
$8,500
And this is the average
a year.
money. This is the average money in a family of 4. And obviously we're talking everything. We're talking from veg products to non-veg products.
Absolutely,
to
in
everything.
total.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of money. If you have a family making 50,000, 60,000, that's more than 10% increase in their total living expenses.
Yep.
A lot of people don't have that kind of resources available.
This is really expensive, and that's what we want to let you know. Now, that actually leads me to this thing. I was watching President Joe Biden's press conference, right? Just a couple of days ago. And he got upset and he screamed at the reporters and he goes, I want you to tell me one thing which has been promised by my government and which hasn't been fulfilled. Obviously, he was furious, because reporters were asking questions. I think somebody should have brought it up. Now, listen, fuel price is up.
Inflation.
Exactly, the inflation is up.
Well, the
grocery products are too much high, and you had said that you would control it.
Well, there are two aspects to it, though. First, the good thing. The good thing is the president can still yell.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I mean, looking at the president, you don't expect him to be able to yell.
Mr. President, you can yell.
Yes. The worst part is people should have brought in the inflation. We don't have to go on item by item, but inflation is out of control right now.
Yes.
It's very difficult for a normal family to survive in this market.
And since inflation is out of control, Fed is thinking about increasing rates sometime in September when they meet again.
That's what we are hearing.
That is going to be also, really interesting. Let's see what happens. But in all of these stories, obviously, you must be wondering, gee, what to do? Well, it's time for you to think about Dunkin' Donuts. Well, now they have changed the name almost. It's a Dunkin'. They have dropped the name Donuts because they want people to think healthy of Dunkin' Donuts, not like, fatty stuff. So it's mostly you have seen Dunkin' and you will continue to see Dunkin'. Dunkin' is coming out with the iced coffee products, two of them.
Well, they're the hard products, meaning they're trying to compete. They will be having some alcohol and they're supposed to be 6 flavors. Dunkin' is coming up with their own alcoholic beverage and their motto is you can start the day with Dunkin' and you can end the day with Dunkin'. They're trying to compete with Twisted Tea. If you remember, Twisted Tea became the highest selling brand name for the beer company. They're selling more Twisted Tea than the beer. So the idea is, the plan is, and Dunkin' has been working very hard on the product line. They brought in the healthy toast. They're trying to minimize the donut side of it by changing the name from Dunkin' Donut to just Dunkin'. And they had some relationship with the ice cream company, Häagen-Dazs. So they are changing their whole branding model. I think this will be a success formula. Having this type of tea, a twisted tea type of concept, or having some alcohol in one of their, they are coming up with 2 product lines currently. Okay. So there will be 6 flavors in total.
I tell you, and I can't even think about the prices that they're going to put on these products. Because
well, go with $9.99. I mean, their tea are $4.99. Their coffees are expensive.
They're really expensive, I mean, pretty soon they're going to surpass Starbucks because we used to say Starbucks coffee is very expensive. But with that note, I want to add this story in. In India, Because tomatoes are like a luxury.
Absolutely, right now.
They are like 200 rupees per kilo or maybe more than that, but it's not definitely less than it. Some time ago, McDonald's, they stopped including tomatoes in their burgers.
Yep.
And now Burger King has followed the same thing. They are not putting tomatoes in their burgers because they can't afford it. And this is really catching up. So what's up with tomatoes in India, that remains to be seen. That we'll talk about some other time. But Dunkin' Donuts now coming out with these 2 more flavors. Obviously it's going to be confusing, but every Dunkin' Donut that you go into it, right, there's always a long line in a driveway.
Absolutely.
There's always the people up there, and there's always people picking up, ordering through mobile app. So that is happening. Anyway, moving on to this, the business talk right here on ITV Go. Remember, the show is brought to you by SAI CPA Services. A full-fledged accounting firm can help you with personal accounting, personal taxes, and as well as corporate taxes. So do reach out to them for any tax matter. No question, no tax question is a silly question. So give them a call, 908-380-6876. Or you can have a Zoom call. You can also join them through video conference and get all the details that you need to know. Remember, your taxes must be done right. It's not about how much you're going to save. It's all about doing it right. So that way, you have paid your taxes well, and there is no question of having it audited or something like that. So do your taxes right, give them a call, and for accounting services, payroll services, any other services, find out what they do. They have on hand their experienced and trained CPAs and the accountants. Once again, visit their website, sciCPAservices.com. With that note, we're going to take a break, and when we come back in the second half, we're going to talk about a very important tax-related matter that is coming out of IRS. So that's all coming up for you in the second half, right after this messages. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the second half of the business talk with Ajay Kumar of SAI CPA Services right here on ITV Gold. Before the break, as I had mentioned, that when we come back, we're going to talk about a very important tax-related story, and that's going to be coming up in just a little while. But right now, we're going to actually bring in a story which is also very, very important, and that could be alarming, because when we talk about world economy, this story might be in effect of that. Talk about China.
Absolutely.
China is going to miss their GDP up to 5%.
Absolutely. So you cannot have a world economy talk without having discussion about China.
Correct.
China is the second largest economy. Their GDP growth was expected to be 5%, and China's growth mainly comes from construction. And they are failing to reach 5%, and the Chinese government decided not to interfere in it based on the debt structure that they have. It did not make sense for them. When we are talking about China, we want our viewers to know Evergrande, the biggest construction company in China, listed on New York Stock Exchange, has failed. 2 years ago, they filed for bankruptcy, Chapter 15, which is reorganization, nothing bad. But last week in the SEC report, they mentioned for 2021 and 2022, they have lost 81 billion, billion with a B, not million, $81 billion of shareholders' money. Their current debt is $340 billion.
380 billion.
$380 billion.
$380 billion, and that is in the Chinese currency, right? 2.437 trillion Chinese yuan.
Not including the other liabilities of $230 billion.
How could a company like this fall?
This is amazing. So just because the interest rate is so high, the debt service ratio changes. If your interest rate is 1%, on $1 billion, you are paying $10 million. If the interest rate suddenly becomes 10%, now instead of paying $10 million, you are paying $100 million. So the cash flow changes. The profitability has to be there. The profitability can afford to have 2%, 3%, 4% sort of interest rate.
But all these years, I mean, they really didn't look into the books, see what was happening?
Well, they do, and it's not something new. I mean, they failed in 2021. They are now coming back and saying in last 2 years only. This is the plan. They make the picture look really, really bad so they can reorganize, so they can pay a cent for a dollar to their investors. They can pay lesser money to whoever has invested money in there.
They say, according to one of the reports, they say they had $270 billion in liabilities. But could it be, okay, let's look into what could have happened. Could it be because of COVID? Because obviously it's a construction company. They are into real estate heavily.
That could be one factor. That could be a start of it. But COVID alone cannot do it.
No, I know that. But because of COVID, you know how commercial real estate has taken a deep dive down, and so many properties are available.
And especially if you are thinly spread, especially when you have a large debt structure, COVID happens, interest rate goes up, everything is going against you. And these things happen in that way. I mean, they have very, very smart people running this company. It's $1 billion, $1 trillion company. It doesn't happen any day or every day.
This is interesting story, very interesting. Anyway, and as Ajay always says that in this show, the Business Talk, we bring you the stories that you may have missed just for your knowledge. So that way, at least you know that we bring you the stories which can, I guess, increase your knowledge about the business news. Now let's talk about the tax thing. I really want to know.
Absolutely, and this is very important. If you miss the show, you don't want to miss this section. So IRS Fresh Start Program. IRS comes up with these plans every so often, every couple of years, and now they are starting IRS Fresh Start Program. If you owe large IRS taxes, this is the time you can get as much as 90% of the taxes waived. You have heard, you have seen, IRS can waive the penalty. IRS does not waive the interest or the liability, but this is the time. In this IRS Fresh Start Program, IRS is trying to collect a lot of money from the taxpayers, money that they believe may not be collected. So if you are in a situation when you owe large amount of taxes, this is the time when you want to read about IRS Fresh Start Program. Don't call IRS directly. If you call IRS, they typically do not give this information. Their intent is to collect most amount of money from the taxpayer. So do some Google search, go to your accountant, go to your CPA and find out more information about IRS Fresh Start Program if you owe large tax liability with IRS.
What's a large tax liability?
Well, anything over 10,000 is large in my book. I mean, if you can't afford it, all the more reasons to try it out. If you owe 5,000 but you can't afford to pay, try it out. But larger the amount, more benefit you have.
Okay, good point. Very good point. And that's the tax related story for you in this show. Now, obviously, Modi is talking about India's economy and how India's economy is doing so well and how it's climbing up in the top 10 list of the world economy. Modi says India's economy will be among top 3 in the world within 5 years. Modi is talking about 5 years, because next year, 2024, is the election year.
Absolutely. So and it's true. Right now we have at number 5th. India is on number 5. We have US, China, German, Japan, and India. So India should be able to bypass German and Japan in next couple of years, next few years.
India bypass UK, and that's a big thing, So let's see what happens. Now, obviously, we're going to bring a story to you from India. This story has to do with the founder and the former CEO of Zee TV, Subhash Chandra. Subhash Chandra and his son Puneet Goenka. This just happened earlier this week. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, known as SEBI, have barred Subhash Chandra and his son Puneet Goenka from holding any managerial or any board member positions with all the Zee entities like Zee Entertainment Enterprises, Zee Media, Zee Studios, and Zee Akash. This is all in reference to AJ, is that they had taken a loan from Yes Bank. Now Yes Bank is already under the water in the news, and the founder of Yes Bank is behind the bars.
Yep.
So now this was some 100 crore, 200 crore rupees transaction was done, and it was done improperly. As a matter of fact, according to SEBI, they said that the transaction was mentioned to Yes on Subhash Chandra's personal letterhead, not on Zee's letterhead, and it was without board of members approval.
Well, there were a lot of things, a lot of favors were done. I mean, there was a personal relationship that was used, especially by Subhash Chandra, to get certain favors from the Yes Bank. And when the story came out, they were barred from having any position in the board. but they were having talks about merging the companies with Sony.
That is also one point I would really want to bring in, that recently, I would say maybe a year ago or so, they started to talk and they announced
Absolutely.
that Z and Sony will merge. And a part of the deal was that when Z and Sony merges, Subhash Chandra's son Puneet Goenka will be the CEO for the first 5 years. Now SEBI says hold on to it.
Yep.
That is not happening.
They have put a bar on
They
it.
have put it. So now I don't know what's going to happen with Z and Sony merger. They may go without Puneet Goenka as CEO, or they may not. I don't know what happens. So that's it. This is the major news. Now how Subhash Chandra and Puneet Goenka fights it out in the court, we'll see. But I tell you, when SEBI is involved and the NCLT is involved, right?
Yep, it's not that easy.
National Criminal Tribune, something. So when they are involved, they are very, very strict. They're very strict. So it's going to be very difficult.
Absolutely.
But anyway, now let's talk about good news. Entertainment, box office. How many of you have seen Gadar 2, starring Sunny Deol and Amisha Patel? Original Gadar was in 2001. 22 years later, the sequel releases, and sequel is minting money at the box office. I think it's already in the 200 plus crore club.
Yep, this seems to be a good movie. I haven't watched it personally.
I haven't watched it either.
But the reviews are great.
Nowadays it was only the weekends the movie would do business, but in the weekdays this week, earlier week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? It's just doing a phenomenal business. So that movie is catching up, and Sunny Deol at this age is able to pull out. But who is responsible for these kind of things? It's a hand pump. That Sunny Deol carries a hand pump, right? And that scene has become so viral, so popular. And obviously Sunny Deol, 2.5 kilo ka haath, and his expression, expression on his face and body language and everything adds value to it. But hand pump, that he pulls it out, and
there is a patriotic angle as well to this whole equation,
of course,
right?
Patriotic angle is,
and that's why a lot of people are liking it and promoting it.
Exactly. So that's a Gadar 2. And now let's talk about sports. India versus Ireland. These young players, Indian team's young players, are already in Ireland, and the series is starting up now. Jasprit Bumrah, who was out for almost 2 years, right? And he makes a comeback, and boom, he makes a comeback as a kapitan, that means captain of India's cricket team.
I say it's a good idea. I say it gives an opportunity, and we are talking about Ireland here.
Yes.
We are not talking about the top 5 team here. So Ireland, a series gives an opportunity to all these IPL stars to make a place in the ODI team, in the IPL team, in the national team. So it's a good opportunity for India.
Well, this is the way I look at it. When India lost against West Indies T20 series, the last game that they lost miserably right here in USA, it was played in Lauderdale, right? So they lost miserably. They lost T20 series against West Indies. So that was the bad part. Now, of course, India needs to get ready for World Cup, ODI, and before that it's Asia Cup. So they really need to start getting ready for it. And we veterans are not having a great time, whether it's a Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli, KL Rahul is very much injured, Ajay Rane, all this, he's not injured, but they are not performing that well. And IPL had given some really young talents and amazing players, right? So they're trying out this thing to see that who they can use for ODI. Watch out for this, AJ. For the ODI World Cup, India's team is going to have complete new look.
I think it's good for India.
Yes. But before that, they need to win Asia Cup. So right after Ireland, they will get ready for Asia Cup. They need to win that. All right. With that note, we come to an end of it. Anything else you have to say?
Just to remind, we have been talking about the IRS audits. If you do get an IRS audit, don't panic. The last thing you want is not to respond to this audit. Look at a number. There is a phone number given on the top right hand corner. Call that number. 90% of these audits are just information audit. Ask them, why are you being audited? What information they need? Supply them the information. And if you get stuck, call us.
Okay, exactly. Call them. Call SAI CPA 908-380-6876. With that note, it's time for us to say bye-bye. We come to the end of the business talk this week's on ITV. Go AJ, thank you so very much.
Of course, thank you.
And I'm Sanjeev Pandya, wishing you all happy and the tax-free days ahead. Enjoy it while you can. We'll all see you same place, same time next week.